Yeah, Enoch Bergman, Swans Veterinary Services, Australian Cattle Vets President.
And we're talking about your talk today. You focus a lot on reproduction and particularly heifers.
You bet.
What are you finding that Australian producers could do better with their heifer management with reproduction?
I reckon a lot of producers tend to, squander the opportunity to capitalize on those best genetics, which should be in their heifer population. So I guess my goal is to help producers to work out ways to salvage some of those genetics. It isn't important that we get all those girls pregnant. I think we put too much emphasis on trying to choose the best heifers, when the reality is either the bull or that fixed time AI program will choose the better heifers. A good heifer is a heifer that falls pregnant, and if you're doing things properly and you're bringing new genetics into your herd continually, those heifers should represent your best genetics. So I think the best thing we can do is join those heifers a bit earlier than the cow herd, to give them time to recover so that they're well and truly cycling when the bull goes back in. And I think with fixed time AI we can do that. We can mitigate calving risk, as well as we can capitalize on those genetics by accessing superior genetics to put into those girls, so we can keep the heifers out of our heifers, freeing us up to terminally cross some of our old cows.
Why do producers, do you believe, focus more on trying to get far more percentage of their heifers pregnant rather than shortening up that joining period?
Well, I believe that producers have been trained to, as KPIs, all producers have a key performance indicator, and they know what a KPI might be, but sometimes they don't understand what a KPI really means. And so I think on a transparent level, they assume a better conception rate equals a good outcome. Now, the difference with heifers is an empty heifer is highly marketable. Many of these guys are probably keeping their cull heifers anyway, and they're sitting in the paddock next to the heifers they've chosen as replacements. And in my opinion, they're putting too much emphasis, and maybe, I don't want to say arrogance, in assuming that they know the better heifer, when all the research states, and just good old common sense states, that a good heifer is a pregnant heifer. And so if we can join these girls short, we put selection pressure on them, and we might only get 75–80% of them pregnant. That's okay if that's our goal. If we budget for that, keep more heifers, mate them short, keep the winners. They've proven to us that they can be an animal that's going to benefit our production system. They're going to go on to calve early, they'll get back in calf to calve early hopefully, and they'll go on to have plenty of room to do that dance up and down the catwalk, as they might lose a conceptus and step back 3 weeks, and then maybe she'll get in earlier the next week. But it's pretty hard to get a heifer to get back in calf after that first calving. She's still growing, she's losing teeth, she's looking at that calf that she's never seen before, she's producing milk. It's a tough gig, but it's very important that we get them to calve as 2-year-olds. So we need them to calve early, we put them under that pressure, we got to give them more time.
So how much earlier should we try to conceive?
I like 3 weeks, which is a cycle. You could even sneak it a little bit closer, so where you can, those bulls that you're putting over the heifers, that first round, you're going to have maybe a few extra bulls after that first round, because now 60% of them are pregnant. You can sneak a couple bulls out in the event that you need them for some of your cow mobs. Or with that short joining, when you're done with those bulls and the heifers, some of the bulls in your cow mobs may have broken down, and you can grab those bulls that you're using over the heifers and shift them over there. Or just rely on fixed time AI. I think it gives you an opportunity to really tighten that up, keep it nice and tight, nice succinct calving patterns, so it's easy to observe those girls, and use bulls that are going to mitigate or manage calving risk.
Now, with shortening up, so you're joining your heifers earlier, aren't they going to be lighter weight? Does that have any impact on reproduction?
It does. Heifers need good strategies to try to get your heifers to 2/3 of mature cow weight by the time you mate them. So by bringing it forward 3 weeks, you're putting more pressure on those girls. So the emphasis is, once you wean those heifers, once you've selected your replacement heifers, you really need to look after them, get them growing as best you can. And because you're bringing them forward, you're actually putting a little bit more selection pressure on them. So you're pressuring them for some very heritable aspects, which is puberty, which is a function of mature cow weight. And heifers that cycle at a lower mature cow weight, that's a heritable thing that they can pass on to their offspring. It's a good thing to select for.
Now, with your cows, what major message were you trying to get across today to improve the performance once you've moved from heifers to cows?
Yep. Once we get them pregnant as a heifer, get them calf tight, get them back in calf. As soon as they get in calf for that second time, they're graduated. They're no longer a new employee. We're going to make them work for a living. We're going to be hard on them. Get in there and preg test those girls early. Make sure it's done accurately. Track yourself down an NCPD accredited veterinarian. Diagnose the empties, get them gone, and when times are a lot tight, wean early. There's no better way of driving profitability in the cow herd, in my opinion, than weaning earlier than most people traditionally do. Because a cow and a calf together eat 25% more feed than a cow and a calf separated. And that is because grass and milk are very, very different. So it's kind of like if your son said, I want some Legos, Dad, and you say, well, we've got this erector set, isn't that good enough? And he says, no, make me Legos out of erector sets, Meccano. It's hard to make Legos out of Meccano, just like it's hard to make milk out of grass. So a cow and a calf together eat 25% more feed than a cow and a calf separated. If you split those girls up, that cow has very low energy demands. You can put her in the poor quality forage and focus that young calf on that good forage, and you can produce more kilograms of beef per hectare and get those calves growing well, get the rumen developed, so you can also then go in and choose the replacement females that you want and get them big enough and keep that system rolling. More kilograms of beef per hectare. That's the name of the game.
So early weaning is advantageous.
Good profit driver. I mean, if you've got one heck of a great season, you don't have the ability to bring in more livestock. You've had a fantastic first year of season. You got feed just springing out of the ground. The cows are fat as heck. You might as well leave the calves on them a bit longer because they're just going to keep dragging those cows down. But if the cows are, if you're looking at your forecast and your feed demand curve and you know you're going to be running out of feed, or bring your production system up to the level to capitalize on the resources you've got, because you've got huge fixed costs. We've got a low cost of production compared to many other countries, and that's a huge advantage. We just saw that from the other speakers. But if we can get that cost of production low, we can be more profitable, we can grow this thing, and we've got a lot of upside to the beef industry, in my opinion. I'm pretty excited.
Okay, Enoch Bergman, thanks for talking with us today.
Thanks, Bruce. Cheers.